baseline, a ring-fenced amount of 2 billion euro, which is specifically earmarked to support certain elements of the common fisheries policy in shared management. But this is just the starting point. That's what I want to explain. I mean, in addition, in the same pool, there are 453 billion to be allocated for economic, social and territorial cohesion, agriculture, rural, fisheries and maritime prosperity and security. And member states will be able to spend additional amounts from this fund on fisheries and aquaculture, depending on their priorities and needs. So I wouldn't imagine a country, for example, Spain, where the fisheries is very high in their priorities, not to include additional funding for fisheries policies. Member states, so we will be able to spend additional amounts from this fund on fisheries and aquaculture, depending on their priorities and needs. For instance, member states can direct the funds to strengthen their blue economy, contributing to sustainable food sources and carbon reduction. But there is much more beyond that. We have under the European Competitiveness Fund, which is 451 billion, activities and investments in fisheries, aquaculture and marine industries can be fostered, can be supported. We have Global Europe with 215 billion that will help strengthen partnerships with non-EU countries to support ocean diplomacy and international ocean governance. So there is a huge potential which should not be disregarded. And there are opportunities to fund the activities that are funded in the current MFAF with even more funding. And I just wanted to repeat that all activities that are eligible under the current MFAF will be eligible under the new MFF. I will refer to some of the questions raised by you. Firstly, on the Ocean Act. The Ocean Act will not add additional administrative burden. The Ocean Act will build on the revision of the Maritime Special Planning Directive. It will ensure that existing targets linked to the ocean are identifiable under one roof and will facilitate their coherent and effective implementation while at the same time decreasing administrative burden. We already have ambitious targets. We don't need other targets. What we need is to implement correctly and adequately what we have now. And this will be the main aim of the Ocean Act. We want to deliver the Ocean Act by the end of 2026, and definitely this committee will have a very important role to play in approving in developing and approving the Ocean Act. The Ocean Board, we had a good example of the European Board for Agriculture and Food, and following this example, we will have a call for expression of interest for a limited number of members to ensure the workability of such a board. It will be a high-level board and will support us in monitoring and implementing the Ocean Pact and to implement what is in the Ocean Act. Mr. Mato, we will take into consideration while evaluating the CFP, we will definitely take into consideration the positions expressed by the Parliament. The landing obligation is also evaluated in the framework of the CFP. I repeated many times that we don't want to add administrative burden, but we want to address the discard of large quantities of fish in the sea. So if we are able to find alternative ways to reduce this waste of resources and this negative impact on the marine life, we are ready to examine. Actually, there was a study on the landing obligation. It revealed that it has not been implemented in all across Europe in the same way. So we need to see what are the findings of this study, and if there are alternatives, we can discuss it in this issue in the framework of the CFP evaluation. I will repeat my position regarding banning of bottom trawling in marine protected areas. I'm not in favor of one size fits all. What I'm saying is that in marine protected areas, we can have management plans as it is foreseen in the relevant legislation. And the management plan can identify which activities are compatible with what we want to protect. If bottom trawling is compatible, it can continue. If it's not, so it should be stopped. It should stop. I mean, I could not imagine an area, Natura 2000 area, which is protected because the seabed is of high value, is vulnerable, and we need to protect it. I could not imagine such an area with a management plan that would allow bottom trawling. But again, one size does not fit all, and we need to have this in mind. And this is my position. As I mentioned in my introductory comments, the modernization and decarbonization of the fishing fleet is one of our main is one of our priorities. We understand that this will bring benefits to the environment, will bring benefits to the fisheries sector, we will bring benefits regarding safety on board, and this is something that we are working on. The two exercises that are ongoing, the Energy Transition Alliance, which will contribute to the preparation of the Energy Transition Roadmap, and the evolution of the European fishing fleet, along with the evaluation of the CFP, will provide to us all the information that is required in order to take measures. The overall philosophy is that we want to support the modernization and the decarbonization of the fishing fleet without contributing to overfishing. And this is the principle. Under this principle, I think that we can, and I think my time passed, so I will, if you allow me, just one or 2 minutes to...
After other intervention.
Okay, we will have another round.
Okay.
Okay.
Vamos a hacer una pequeña ronda con los coordinadores. Le pido que sean cortos y breves para que el comisario pueda añadir alguna cuestión adicional. Y, por tanto, les daré un poco más de 1 minuto para su intervención en la sala de los coordinadores, empezando por el IPP, el señor Mato.
Sí, muchísimas gracias, Presidenta. Muy brevemente, valoro, comisario, usted sabe que le aprecio, valoro sus esfuerzos por defender lo indefendible. Se lo he dicho antes y lo repito. Después de escucharle, parece que tendríamos que estar contentos. Ha dicho que hay más fondos, que hay un enorme potencial, que muchos fondos que antes no estaban ahora están, se han incrementado. Bueno, yo creo que eso a todos nosotros nos suena como si fuera una broma, porque la realidad es que se desciende en un 67%. Cuando usted dice a los comisarios a todos nos gustaría tener más, sí, pero no hay ningún comisario que le reduzcan un 67% su presupuesto, aunque luego tratemos de disfrazarlo de otra manera, que además vuelvo a lo mismo. Perdemos la política europea y la nacionalizamos, lo cual es un tremendo error. Pero dicho esto, fíjese, le va a sorprender lo que voy a decir. Estoy totalmente tranquilo y hay que dar un mensaje de tranquilidad a los pescadores. ¿Por qué? Muy sencillo. Porque después de oír a Nicolás González Casares, que se acaba de ir, lo lamento, bueno, pues ya sé que siendo lo malo que es el PP y todo lo malo que ha hecho, ahora el gobierno socialista de España va a vetar el marco financiero plurianual. Con lo cual, tranquilidad, porque el señor Pedro Sánchez vetará ese marco presupuestario y yo lo alabaré. Gracias.
Señor Rodríguez.
Obrigado, Sra. Presidente. Uma breve intervenção final para esclarecer algumas dúvidas, se é que elas ainda possam existir relativamente se é ou não é um profundo corte que nós estamos a assistir com essa proposta de quadro financeiro plurianual. E a solução é muito simples. Basta fazer o famoso teste do pato. Se parece com um pato, nada como um pato, e grasna como um pato, então provavelmente é um pato. O mesmo se passa com esse corte orçamental, que é obviamente um corte histórico e que fere de morte as pretensões dos pescadores. Não é possível, mesmo com todos os dotes oratórios e com as maiores capacidades de malabarismo político, transformar aquela que é uma má proposta numa boa solução para os pescadores. O que a Comissão Europeia está a fazer, todos nós já percebemos, é lavar as mãos e desresponsabilizar-se de competências que eram suas e tentar endossá-las aos Estados-membros. Por fim, não resisto a responder à provocação do meu colega para dizer o seguinte: tal como é o teste do pato, como é que nós reparamos que o debate não está a correr bem ao PPE? Quando vai falar na Teresa Ribeira e no Governo de Espanha. Também ficamos esclarecidos quando o debate está a correr mal.
Senhor Diepeven.
Ja, dank u wel, voorzitter. Even heel kort. Dank u wel, commissaris, voor de antwoorden die u nu gegeven hebt. Ja, zoals mijn vorige collega's en de heer Mato ook zei, van ja, hoe is het mogelijk iets te verdedigen wat niet te verdedigen valt? En in hoeverre kunnen we u nog op u rekenen, alle kritiek die u vandaag hier gehoord hebt, hoe ver kunnen we op u rekenen dat het omgebogen wordt naar iets positiefs voor de vissers? Ik maak me hele grote zorgen. Ik heb tenenkrommend zitten luisteren naar uw antwoorden, of tenminste u heeft getracht antwoord te geven op vragen. En ik zou u toch mee willen geven, gaat u er echt voor, wat hier naar voren gebracht is in deze commissie, om dat om te buigen in het MFK, of gaat u iets verdedigen wat niet te verdedigen valt? En dan kiest u voor dat laatste. Dan zou ik toch willen aandringen om eens heel goed na te denken over uw eigen positie. Dank u wel.
Sen.
Dank u wel, voorzitter. Dank u aan de commissaris voor zijn uitleg. Ja, hij gaf ook aan van eigenlijk niet blij te zijn met die 2 miljard. Dat hij liever dat hoger had gezien. Maar feit is natuurlijk toch wel, dit is wel een voorstel van het hele college, van de hele commissie. Dus u heeft wel uw naam hier aan verbonden aan dit voorstel. Nu probeert u ons mee te nemen in de gedachte van... ja, maar wacht even, buiten die 2 miljard om... er zijn nog heel veel andere fondsen. Daar kan ook aanspraak op gemaakt worden. Maar in alle eerlijkheid, dit overtuigt mij niet. Omdat de inzet van die middelen... specifiek voor de visserij natuurlijk zeer onzeker is. Dus ik denk echt, zoals ik in mijn eerste termijn heb gezegd... dat we moeten kijken, hoe kunnen we dat budget... voor de visserij ophogen. Hoe kunnen we dat veiligstellen? En ik denk ook echt dat die hele structuur die nu voorgesteld wordt... echt terug naar de tekentafel moet. En ik hoop dat u nog in kunt gaan op mijn vraag... over hoe het staat met de onderzoeken naar selectievere vismethoden. Dank.
Señora Wiesner.
Thank you so much, Mr. Commissioner. I will be short. Because I think the message from this committee has been very clear. Our worry about renationalization is very real, as we hear. With all of these national flexibilities, there is a risk that we don't have a common European fisheries policy anymore. But I want to repeat my question because I didn't quite catch your answer on the local involvement, how you will combine the conclusions from the Ocean Pact that we need to have local dialogue and stakeholder dialogue together with this new budget. How will you communicate this and defend this among the local coastal communities all across the EU?
Señora Levin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner, for your answer on the bottom trawling and the MPAs. So did I get it right that you don't consider bottom trawling affecting habitats and ecosystems and that it could be allowed in MPAs? My second question, I hope I can get an answer to also concerning ecosystems. When we are talking about the Baltic Sea, we already know that climate change, eutrophication, and biodiversity loss and the collapse of the cod has totally changed the ecosystem, and that scientists now are really scratching their heads because the scientific advice on TACs is not really adapted to this new situation. So my question is, can the Commission immediately ask ICES on precautionary and ecosystem-based advice on TACs that are multi-species and really precautionary in this new situation? And we don't have any time to lose, and all the scientists are saying this. Thank you.
Señor Everdeen. No. Pasamos entonces a los miembros del comité que quieran intervenir por un minuto. Con la señora Le Callennec comenzamos.
Oui, merci Madame la Présidente. Comme vous l'avez dit, nous sommes, je pense, pour vous, Monsieur le Commissaire, des alliés pour obtenir plus et mieux pour la pêche et l'aquaculture. J'entends vos réponses sur le fait que la pêche et l'aquaculture pourront émarger aux fonds dits globaux ou aux fonds compétitivité ou même aux fonds gérés désormais par les États membres. Moi, ce qui m'inquiète, c'est qu'on tient ce discours à tous les secteurs d'activité, y compris l'agriculture, l'industrie, le commerce, l'artisanat. Cela veut dire que chacun va essayer d'en obtenir le plus possible, et qui décidera au final si on aide plus l'agriculture ou la pêche ou l'artisanat ou l'industrie. On va tous émarger au même fond et il y a une concurrence sévère. Et que pèsera la pêche? Que pèsera la pêche? C'est là toute l'interrogation. Et donc nous vous soutenons pour essayer de faire en sorte que la pêche puisse émarger au heading 3, au heading 2 et au heading 1. Merci, Monsieur le Commissaire.
Señor Flanagan.
Thanks for coming in here today and explaining your position. It's not a particularly easy thing to do, but it's all part of democratic accountability. And there was a really, really important question asked here today with regard to these new plans and the cushion funding. And I think people need an answer to it. who's behind this. Because as far as I can see, it's as a result of a democratic process where we elected a commission. Some of us voted for it, some of us voted against us. But I think the people who are listening to this committee need to know an answer to this question. It is a good question by the EPP member, and maybe she'd like an answer too. Who's behind this?
Señor Smith.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Commissaris, om terug te komen op de eerdere vragen. Volgens mij is voldoende helder dat deze commissie dit voorstel niet accepteert. 1% van de begroting voor visserij in dit tijdperk van noodzaak aan voedselsoevereiniteit is voor ons onaanvaardbaar. Maar ik heb ook enkele vragen gesteld over die Oceans Act en de Ocean Pact met betrekking tot een verbod op zonneparken op zee. Brokstukken vervuilen Nederlandse stranden. En als u spreekt over inperking van bodemberoerende visserij, bottom trawling in beschermde gebieden, dan lijkt het me goed als u in het voorstel ook een verbod op zonneparken op zee opneemt. Juist om de marine milieu te beschermen. En ik hoop ook dat daar brede steun, ook van de voorstanders van zonne-energie, op komt. Want we moeten leren van fouten en de Nederlandse stranden spoelen op dit moment vol met de brokstukken van een dergelijk zonnepark. Dank u wel.
Señora Llamet.
Oui, merci Madame la Présidente, Monsieur le Commissaire. Je vous ai entendu dire tout à l'heure qu'il fallait faire plus, c'est-à-dire répondre aux injonctions de la Commission avec moins, c'est-à-dire moins d'argent en fait. Moi je pense qu'il faut inverser le paradigme, il faut plus d'argent et il faut moins de normes, c'est-à-dire plus de liberté, premièrement. Deuxièmement, je voudrais revenir sur la renationalisation, la nationalisation de la politique de la pêche. Elle n'est pas incohérente, cette position. Je pense que, et certains d'ailleurs l'approchent, c'est une re-régionalisation, renationalisation. Il faut prendre une politique de bon sens, une politique qui soit plus proche de nos territoires et de nos intérêts. Dernier point, je pense que si on peut mettre tout le monde d'accord, et si on veut être très très clair, en tout cas sur la politique et la confiance qui a été votée, et à vous, Monsieur Cadiz, et à Madame von der Leyen, nous déposerons dans le cadre de la prochaine session parlementaire une motion de censure que je vous invite à partager avec nous.
Señor Millán Mon.
Presidenta, brevemente, se aludió a Galicia. La semana pasada el Parlamento gallego por unanimidad aprobó el rechazo de la propuesta de marco financiero plurianual y la Xunta de Galicia de forma reiterada ha dicho que está en contra de este recorte, en particular a la pesca. Me remito, por ejemplo, el viernes pasado en Ribeira a las palabras tan rotundas de la conselleira de Pesca. Por tanto, está clarísimo el posicionamiento de las fuerzas políticas y del Gobierno que dirige la Xunta de Galicia. Y, en segundo lugar, señor comisario, usted nos habla del potencial de los otros fondos. Póngalos por escrito, pero no solo por escrito ese potencial, garantícenos por escrito, de forma vinculante en los reglamentos, que habrá un porcentaje, el 5%, el 10%, 2.000 millones, 1.500, 2.000, que los otros fondos, el Fondo de Competitividad, la EU Facility, el Global Europe, tales cantidades van a ser para eso. No nos habla de potencial, porque potencial va a ser disputas, competencia con otros sectores económicos mucho más fuertes. ¿Qué garantías nos dan cuando a los otros sectores les recortan ustedes el 20% y a los pobres de la pesca nos recorta usted el 67%? ¿Qué garantías vamos a tener que en esa batalla vamos a estar en condiciones iguales? Garantícenos por escrito que va a haber ese mínimo en los otros fondos. Y lo demás es bla, bla, bla.
Señora Paz.
Señor comisario, le reitero mi pregunta. ¿Qué garantías hay que mi nación pesquera, que es la principal nación pesquera de la Unión Europea, sea reconocida como zona altamente dependiente de la pesca? ¿Cómo lo van a hacer? ¿Qué prefieren, eso o prefieren la ruina? Y reitero la pregunta porque sé que puso los cascos después. ¿Cómo van a reconocer que la principal nación pesquera de Europa, que es Galicia, va a ser reconocida como zona altamente dependiente de la pesca? Porque ya es tiempo, porque después de haber perdido 2.000 barcos y una capacidad pesquera en estos últimos 20 años, es tiempo de apoyar a la principal flota pesquera europea. Gracias.
Y ahora, para finalizar, voy a hablar como eurodiputada. Señor comisario, esta comisión no entiende cómo el cambio de modelo, por un modelo incierto cuando el FEMPA estaba funcionando, lo que le están transmitiendo. Y, por supuesto, la bajada económica. Pero hay que arreglar muchos temas en la pesca. Los pescadores están esperando que los estudios científicos estén actualizados, que se modifique el Mediterráneo, como decía el portavoz del IPP, que se modifiquen también el tema de las 87 zonas por el palangre y ahora encima la sardina ibérica reducida en 4.728 toneladas entre España y Portugal tras la recuperación del caladero. No tiene sentido. Por tanto, vamos a ayudar al comisario en su trabajo por los pescadores, porque creo que es un momento crucial y nos necesitan más que nunca. Y ahora, agradeciendo sus aportaciones, y así le pasamos la palabra al señor comisario para que cierre esta comisión, este comité, con toda la explicación que merece un tema tan importante como este y los demás que ha anunciado el propio comisario, agradeciéndole siempre su puesta a disposición de este comité y su trabajo conjunto.
I also thank you for your questions and for your remarks. On the MFF, I just wanted to repeat that we are not talking about cuts, we are talking about reallocation of resources. And you asked me how the sector will secure that some of this money are dedicated to the fisheries sector and the aquaculture sector and the ocean-related policies. And I say that it is this form of MFF provides the flexibility to the member states to develop their plans according to their priorities. It's different. The priorities of a landlocked country, for example, will be different in the fisheries sector, will be different with the priorities of countries like Spain, like Italy, like Sweden, like countries where the fisheries sector is very well developed. Moreover, the Commission will review the national plans and will make sure that the priorities of the CFP are very well reflected in the national and regional partnership plans. So there is an article in the relevant regulation that requires the member states to provide explanations on how the countries will address the priorities of the CFP. And if they are not adequately addressed, the Commission can return the NRP back and demand better allocation of resources so that the plan can address the priorities of the CFP. But in any way, you know that, you know me well, I fully respect the democratic procedures. I will convey the messages to the college, but also it is up to your powers to modify what is in the table. I feel that it is a good basis to start negotiations. It is a good basis, and let's work. I mean, the approval of the proposal by the college is the start of the way we have ahead of us. So there are much more steps to be done. Let's discuss and let's try to improve what is on the table. Some of the other remarks about local involvement in the regulation which will concern the auxiliary, our portfolio. We will make sure that there are provisions for the local involvement. So we will make sure that the local involvement is reflected in the regulation. Actually, this is something that we want very much. As I mentioned several times, now we are looking into successful cases where local stakeholders with the sector collaborated effectively for the delineation and the management of marine protected areas. And this is a very good example on bringing together different stakeholders from the local communities in order to achieve good results. This will be reflected in the relevant regulation for the next MFF. About the Baltic Sea and the multi-species approach, our proposal takes into account multi-species, and actually the next week's conference will discuss on what additional work is needed to support multi-species approach. The next week conference is an indication on the intentions of the European Commission to address the Baltic situation with a holistic approach. About the advisory council for the small-scale fishers, personally, I'm in favor of this development, but there is an ongoing work in the framework of the CFP evaluation. This is a legislative procedure, so we need to follow the legislation. About the coastal communities, the new MFF proposal and the national and the regional partnership plans recognize the importance of coastal communities and local action groups, and provide more opportunities for synergies through funding. About selective fishing, this will be continued to be financed. I'm referring to the West Med map, but also I will refer to the innovative measures. It will be in the core of the national and the regional partnership plans. And they can be supported through the NRPs. I think that I covered most of the... we have the question about the small islands and access to funding. Let me just tell you that in the framework of the Ocean Pact, a strategy for the islands, and especially the small islands, will be developed, which will include specific measures with the respective funding to support these measures. And the CFP is not a disaster, as it was mentioned by a member of the parliament. The CFP is a policy that has produced tangible positive results. Back in 2010, before the revision of the CFP policy, the number of fish stocks that were fished at sustainable levels was only 9. Now we have more than 60 fish stocks that are fished in sustainable levels, and we are seeing positive results in many parts of Europe. I have commented the fleet renewal and how it will be addressed in the next MFF. The more selective years. In certain cases, the less number of vessels is not because of the policies of the European Union, it's because there is no fish. If there is less fish, you cannot have a bigger number of, a larger number of vessels. So we should look at our model and to balance the number of the fishing fleet with the available fish. So I think that these were more or less the comment on your questions. I'm looking forward to continuing this discussion. And as I mentioned about the MFF, which was central in today's meeting, I will convey the messages to the college, but you can also contribute towards improving this proposal. The proposal is just the beginning of a long way of negotiations. Let's start with an open mind, and I think that we will find at the end the best possible solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner, for your replies. Just from a technical level, I suggest that certain answers which were not answered will be answered in writing then, if you agree.
With pleasure.
And I thank you for especially also for your closing remarks, which do stress that budget rights also remain with Parliament. And I think the members of the committee look forward to work with you on the proposal as it stands.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.